everybody, how are you? I am here in the studio and I thought I'd do one of our little heart chats. And I'd say the theme of this heart chat is stop being so self-righteous, stop being so judgmental, stop trying to be perfect, stop trying to be an expert, and just give yourself a break. Give yourself a break. So that's what we'll call this heart chat. Give yourself a bloody break. Okay, so why do I feel called to talk about this at the minute? So many reasons, actually. Okay, so there's two reasons. There's a Buddhist reason, and then there's like a more mainstream reason. I'll start with my mainstream reason, and then I'll get a bit more spiritual. Lots of friends recommend podcasts to me, and I always hungrily ask for recommendations because I do like to know what's happening in the mainstream. I wouldn't want to be so behind in the times. I'm like a little dinosaur sat here in my yoga studio in Bilbao. So I do try and still swim in the mainstream slightly, if only just to see what's happening. And one thing that really has come across to me recently is that everyone is an expert. Everyone is an expert. Everyone, how can everyone be an expert? But then when you listen to all these experts, you realize that it's all full of contradictions and that actually nobody knows really. They're all just doing their best, and they're all coming at it from a different lens. And then, so I find it quite confusing. So who's the expert and who's not the expert? Well, maybe you don't need to be an expert. Maybe you could just be a human being and be imperfectly unexpertish. So now I'll get into the spiritual side of this and just hear me out. So one of my favorite teachers, this has been going on for ages and still to this day I absolutely adore him, is Ajahn Brahm, and he's an English guy, but he's a monk, and he is the director of a big monastery in Perth in Australia. And I love him. When you say the word monk, you think of this like really righteous, serious guy, but he's not like that at all. He's so funny, he's so natural, he's so silly, he's so accepting, he's so loving, he's a bit bonkers, a bit cheeky, and I just love him. He told a joke last night in one of his Dharma talks, and the joke was, why did the chewing gum cross the road? Why did the chewing gum cross the road? Because it was stuck to the foot of a chicken. Now, that is so bad, it's funny, right? And I just was like 11:30 at night cracking up. My husband's like, what are you laughing at? And I said, Ajahn Brahm. And he was like, okay, that makes sense. I'm either laughing at Ajahn Brahm or Mrs. Brown. I don't know if you know Mrs. Brown's Boys, which is an Irish sitcom, which makes me howl, mostly because she does a lot of falling over. Anyway, so Ajahn Brahm told this funny joke last night, and he always peppers his talks with these stupid jokes because he's just wants to lighten up spirituality. Why do we have to sit there and say, I'm an expert and you should do this and you shouldn't do this, and this will make you healthy and this will make you unhealthy. You're a good yogi, you're a bad yogi, or you're a good monk, you're a bad monk, you're a good human being, you're a bad human being. It doesn't work like that. In fact, Ajahn Brahm says you can't always be healthy. In fact, you should expect and make room to sometimes be incredibly unhealthy, because that's the nature of life. And if you deny that and try to always be healthy, you're basically denying your nature and the way the world works. And I like that, there's this big pressure to be like especially now, like who's got the best diet, who's got the best habits, and that pressure is too much for any one person. I personally don't have the gene of massive willpower. I can get a little bit addicted to things like yoga and exercise, and I can get on the bandwagon with my plant-based eating, but I'm far too kind to myself, and I love treats. And does that make me a bad yogi? No, it doesn't. As Ajahn Brahm would say, you know, where's the chocolate box? Just stop being so strict on yourself, and I really love that. I really love that. And also, he was telling a story yesterday about self-forgiveness as well. So there was a lady who had had an abortion. She had a few children and she got pregnant, and she just couldn't afford or didn't have time or couldn't look after another child. But a few years later, you know, she went to Ajahn Brahm and she just said, I can't forgive myself, I can't move on for having this abortion. And he made it his absolute purpose to help her find self-forgiveness and self-compassion. Because he says, if you've made a mistake, welcome to the club. Who hasn't made a mistake? Who will never make a mistake? And in Buddhism, there's no room for guilt. You have to forgive yourself. You have to move forward. And they did a self-forgiveness ceremony, and this woman was, you know, eventually able to let go of all that guilt and self-hate. And I love that. I love that. I'm a big believer in no matter what you've done, you know, you can let go of guilt, you can forgive yourself. Just really resonates with me, and I think the world needs more of these teachings. So the name of the talk is Go Bloody Easy on Yourself. Wouldn't the world be a better place if everyone stopped trying to be an expert on X, Y, and Z, and rather just was a little bit more of a natural human being? You know, if we all just took off that superficial layer and was like, hey, look at me, I'm just a fully formed human being. I've got a little bit of good habit, I've got a little bit of bad habit. This is my vices, these are my strengths, my weaknesses, my mistakes, myself, my bad jokes, my good jokes. And just stop judging. Can you just stop judging others? Like, oh, she's doing this, or she did this, or him, or her, or whatever. Everyone's trying their best. Leave everyone alone. Leave yourself alone. Go easy on yourself. Give yourself a bloody break, and also give other people a bloody break. We have to get out of this mentality of, like, you know, striving to be the best in the room, and that goes, you know, it goes through different fads in the mainstream, as I've observed with my podcast journey. It, you know, it can go through the best, being the best money maker, being the best wellness expert, being the best teacher, being the best this. What about if we were just honest and just gave ourselves a break? Sometimes we're healthy, sometimes a bit unhealthy, sometimes we do good things, sometimes we do bad things. But you deserve to be happy, you deserve to be loved, you are everything and more, and give yourself a bloody break. So if you needed to hear that, you know, hold it in your heart, keep it there. I think that kind of teaching is the kind of teaching that I heard maybe 12 years ago that got me into this spiritual path. You know, I remember being surrounded by shame and regret, and then I was like, I just need a path that helps me to accept everything about myself. And this is the path. This is the path of self-acceptance, compassion, kindness, a little bit of fun, a little bit of joy, a little bit of silliness. Like, don't take yourself so seriously. just give yourself a bloody break, basically. And I'd like to finish by just saying, if you want to come and spend some time with me in summer, I'm doing 3 teacher training courses in June, in July and August. And, you know, this sentiment will be at the very pinnacle, the very core of what I teach. So, you know, if you want to come, get in contact with me. Let's have a nice summer. And if you don't come, you can check out more of my videos on YouTube. You know, they're not the most perfect, well-presented videos, which is just kind of very cat. But there's some nice yoga in there. And I'll be uploading another yoga video soon called the Dynamic Turtle. So the dynamic turtle is about going slow but being strong. Yeah, and I think that's a nice way to approach everything, really. Go slow but be strong, love yourself, and give yourself a bloody break. Okay, I'm sending you lots of love. If you did want to come and join me for teacher training in summer, just go to my website, katwebsteryoga.com. If you wanted to try and help my YouTube channel go from 1 subscriber to 2 subscribers, subscribe. And you know I'm never going to be a YouTube phenomenon, but anything helps. What else? Yeah, I wrote my first book this year, Finding My Light. You can buy that on Amazon. And I'm also just currently doing another one, a recipe book. It won't be telling you that I'm an expert, and it won't be telling you only to eat green things, although there will be a lot of green things in there. It'll be approaching things from a bit more of a honest, well-rounded point of view. Okay, that's enough from me. Lots and lots and lots and lots of squishy, squishy, squishy jelly tots and love. My friend actually says jelly tots, so that's where I've got that from. Yeah, lots of love. Bye-bye.